Okay, quick thing to know. I'm actually recording my audio in a different room than I normally do, so hopefully it sounds okay. Next thing is that I've actually got a ton of notes for these guys, and I've got about a little under 28 minutes of gameplay. So hopefully I can get through this quick enough so that I don't waste too much time. Alright, let's get going. First thing we got to talk about for the Colts. I really like the new secondary logo for the Colts, and I think minor uniform tweaks to clean up a uniform uh, never a bad idea. They got a really classic uniform, and they got the new secondary logo. Like I said, I like it, and I think it's cool that their numbers now match the style. The like outline or the shaping of the numbers matches the shaping that's connected to the secondary logo. I like that, and they just changed the new like text they have where it says Colts. Now it says Colts on the front of their helmet in a different text, and it sort of matches that same style they're going with for the secondary logo. So I like that. Last season they went 7-9. I may have mentioned this in the Chargers video, but wow, since it's the Colts video, I really got to mention it. That Malik Hooker interception against the Chargers week one-handed, that's such a good play. It's just sad because like after that, Malik Hooker is seemingly not noticed for anything the rest of the season, which is kind of sad. I don't I don't catch a lot of Colts games, so it's really cool to see that. I remember when the Colts used to be like on the earlier years with Luck. Not as much recently, obviously not last season since Luck didn't play, but just Luck those early years with him, you'd see a lot of T.Y. Hilton, and I remember how good he was then, and it was nice to see some highlights of him doing well again. Marlon Mack's a great overall running back. I can't say much else besides that. I mean, it seems like I feel like I was talking about Derrick Henry doing everything well yesterday. The thing about Derrick Henry is he's got a big body, so it's like he can juke a defender out, but it's like kind of slow. The thing is, with Marlon Mack, almost every move he attempts to use, he can execute it at a high level, not just like a mediocre level like Derrick Henry, where it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting the big guy to juke me, so it's like that. It's like Marlon Mack can do everything well. Just looks great out there on the field. In the Chiefs game, their defense had to play outstanding. I mean, only allowing the Chiefs offense to score 13 points is extremely impressive. But also when talking about that, you have to mention how I remember that game and how well they were to control, how well they had to play on offense, at least controlling the game from a rushing standpoint. They kept it on the ground a lot and burned up a lot of clock to win that game, and that was cool to see. Pascal's a very solid number two option as well. I didn't really know how good he was before, but I mean, he's definitely the number two there now that you can see that. I mean, they brought in new guys, so we'll have to see, but he's definitely a solid number two option. The only problem is then you had injuries, which we'll talk about later, that really made him the number one, and that kind of hurt their offense. Very confused why they let Eric Ebron go. See, this is the thing with the tight end position. It's just I feel like I keep talking about it, but it's such a weird position to monitor and think about, just because you got guys, you got like Eric Ebron's a playmaker, but I think statistically Jack Doyle played better last season, but Eric Ebron was the one making the big plays, and they let him go, so he gets out of the building. I can't really understand that. You got two solid tight ends. Would they have had to pay him a lot of money? I don't know what the Steelers paid him. I don't have that info right in front of me, but maybe he was asking for too much. I guess if it really got up there, no, but I mean, if he was asking for less than like 6-7 million a year, I think I'd pay him. And I don't know if he got that from the Steelers. If he got more than that from the Steelers, okay, let him walk. But I also thought this was one of the teams that was actually doing pretty well on cap space, so I'd have to refresh myself on those numbers too. But just interesting to let him walk. Another note on Zach Pascal, he just gets his hands up in the air and snags balls out of the air with ease. It's very impressive how fluid his hand motion is, getting his hands up, grabbing the ball, bringing it back in, and securing it tucking it away tight to his body quickly. Kenny Moore the second seems like he's just kind of a right place in the right time kind of guy because early in the season he either picked up a few fumbles or got an interception or maybe like 3 turnovers kind of quickly together, and it was just like he was kind of just standing in the right spot for the ball to fall right into his arms. Justin Houston still playing at a high level. That was good to see. I really didn't realize how much he is the best pass rusher on this team, which is interesting to me. I didn't realize he was still doing that well. Marlon Mack has a touchdown against the Jaguars when the Colts are the home team in this one, where he does a spin move twice, and he absolutely just, it's incredible. I mean, you rarely see the spin move even utilized in the NFL, not that often, and he spins out of tackles twice and takes it in for the end zone. It's an incredible run. Also, all their running backs have like the exact same type of build, which is very interesting to me, but it's like that really middle of the road build where they're like they've got like a ton of, like all of them, they just look like they got a ton of muscle to them, and none of them look like they're just like really small and speedy backs. They're all like that in between look, not huge, not tiny. They're right in the middle, and I think that's what the coaches there like, that really balanced look, and that's what they got in Jonathan Taylor too. Nothing, I mean, you watch Jonathan Taylor and you see more of a power running scheme from Wisconsin is really what I saw when I was watching his highlights, but I'm not getting that vibe from him as a player. I think in the NFL he'll be a really balanced runner, and I like it. Definitely be a good player for them. Darius Leonard is an amazing athlete all around. Love his playmaking ability. Holy crap, 5 interceptions in a season. That's insane. This guy, Marcus Johnson, at receiver for them, he started turning up at the end of the season last year, and that was good to see. If he can turn into something, that may help them. The thing is I feel like I keep mentioning these guys. They have like a guy. The teams have guys at the end of the season that could really start helping them at a position, and then you look at it and it's like, okay, let's say we've got the 2 obvious number 1 guys here, in T.Y. Hilton and Zach Pascal. And then it's like, okay, Marcus Johnson could start to really get some targets as that third option. But then in the draft, I feel like this has happened for me, like finding guys on a lot of teams. They pick Michael Pittman high, and it's like, okay, well, they picked him high. He's obviously going to get a lot of time playing in the games. So now Marcus Johnson is kind of at least down to 4th on the depth chart, and kind of ruins an opportunity for him. So I don't know. Nyheim Hines, 2 punt return touchdowns. Is he the next Devin Hester? I don't really know. Just thought that was really cool in one game. That's an awesome thing. Whenever that happens, it's cool. Special teams touchdowns are awesome. We haven't had a guy in the league in a while that has been able to consistently bring them back. I mean, obviously the rules are changing to make it harder, at least on kickoffs, but really want to see a guy start being like a real dangerous threat back there that no one wants to punt or kick to ever. Oh, and then the last game of the season, I love when I get to mention something about scheme. They had a look, a single back look with a bunch to the left, a tight bunch to the left, and then one receiver that was tight to the right. With a bunch left, obviously the middle receiver was on the line of scrimmage, and on the right, the single receiver was on the line of scrimmage. But Zach Pascal was the outside receiver on the bunch to the left. He motions across the field to basically like a wing position right inside the right outside receiver. And the Colts snap the ball. Everybody blocks down to the right. And the initial steps make it look like it's about to be an inside zone to the right. But the only player that comes back across the formation is Zach Pascal, who just motioned from the bunch left to the right to balance the formation, and now he goes back across to where he started when the ball is snapped. And they run a counter play with everybody down blocking and Zach Pascal leading out in front. It not only did it make the linebackers probably all read inside zone left because they saw no like pulling guards or anything. Inside zone to the left of them. It would have been an inside zone to the right for the Colts. But it had the receiver coming across the formation in the backfield. And it was a great look because it probably looked like play action to the safeties and corners, and they were looking for a pass, and then Marlon Mack still took the counter handoff outside to the left. Zach Pascal threw one block, and he scored a touchdown against the Jaguars in the last play of the season. I just love when I can mention some scheme things that were really impressive. So sorry, had to get that in there. Also, sorry if that was terrible at explaining it. And just the one other thing that I want to say about that is like, it's crazy when you see something that's innovative for running the ball. It's like we've been running the ball for 100 years now in professional football. Passing is sort of new age, and you can really come up with more designs for passing than you can running. But seeing innovation in the run game is really cool. Got to mention this team just because looking at film and talking about statistics doesn't talk about how good this O-line is. This team has a tremendous offensive line, and I have to mention that once because it's very important. And that's all the notes for the Colts last season, but I got to talk about Phillip Rivers because he's probably going to be their starting quarterbacks. He can still survey a defense and make a throw to the right receiver with his wild sidearm sling that he's always been doing. So that's a good thing. The concerns I have with him is that I don't know if he can throw a solid deep ball. Like if a receiver's just running a straight go route, I don't even know if he throws it 2 seconds after the snap. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the ball far enough down the field leading the receiver even if he beats the coverage. So I think you could see a lot of press against the Colts next season, and teams could get away with it because I don't know if he can get the ball down the field enough. The other thing is it was really aggressive play in the final 2 minutes of drive. In the 2-minute drills with drives with the Chargers last year. And he ended up throwing a lot of interceptions at the end of the games that were just completely unnecessary. They still had chances to win these games, and he was just throwing up wild prayers too early in the game, getting picked off that were not good. He's got to cut that out of his game if he wants to be good for the Colts this season. And to be completely honest, I really cannot say for certain that Phillip Rivers is an upgrade from Jacoby Brissett. I can't. The stats for Rivers throws more interceptions but has more yards and a better completion percentage than Brissett, just basing it off last year's things. More stats. Nyheim Hines had 404 return yards on 15 returns. It's a pretty good average. That's kick and punt returns. I like that average. No one had huge yardage in this offense. Marlon Mack got to 1,000 yards rushing. Darius Leonard, 5 interceptions is crazy at the linebacker position. Pierre Desir had 11 passes defended. Was he one of the players they lost? Yeah, he's not on the team anymore, though, so that's too bad. Justin Houston, 11 sacks, led the team. Anthony Walker, 124 tackles, and then Darius Leonard with 121. 13 tackles for loss for Justin Houston. Also good, leading the team in that. And the second guy on the team in tackles for loss was a guy by the name of Al Quadin Muhammad. And he had 8 tackles for loss, but he only started 4 games. He also had 3 sacks. He probably played in the games he didn't start because I'm pretty sure it said he played all 16 games. But, I mean, what if this guy's starting? If we can get him on the field even more, holy cow, he may have some extreme production. Maybe let's get him out there. Injuries, this is what I was talking about when I was mentioning Zach Pascal earlier. Devin Funchess and T.Y. Hilton, they're 2 guys that were probably supposed to be the biggest targets in the passing game receiver-wise. Not talking about tight ends or running backs. Both missed significant time, and a lot of it crossed over with each other. So teams probably knew that they were going to be looking for Zach Pascal when throwing the ball. And that probably hurt his production, to be completely honest. Also, Darius Leonard's stats for this season are absolutely incredible. The thing that makes him even more incredible is that he missed 3 games. He missed 3 games and put up those stats. It's just wild. Jabal Sheard missed time at the start of the year. I don't even know if he's good anymore or worth mentioning, but he missed time at the start of the year. Okay, now players they acquired and players they lost. They have acquired this offseason Trey Burton, tight end. That's good. We've got 2 solid tight ends on this team still, even though Eric Ebron won't be on the team anymore. DeForest Buckner in the middle. That's a heck of a player to grab in the offseason. I mean, that's a great pickup for them. Cost them a first-round pick, but probably worth it. Probably worth it, I'd say. Then Travis Carey, Xavier Rhodes, 2 cornerbacks. Roosevelt Nix, fullback from Pittsburgh. At least I think he was still on Pittsburgh last season as far as I know. And Phillip Rivers, obviously. We mentioned him already. Players they lost: Dontrell Inman, Eric Ebron, Pierre Desir. Marcus Hunt, kind of a depth guy, defensive end. I think teams have liked him. I think he's pretty old now, though. Chester Rogers, Brian Hoyer, Devin Funchess, and Jonathan Williams. And then there's 4 players even that are still free agents, but were on the team last year. Jabal Sheard, free agent right now. I don't think he's coming back. Adam Vinatieri, obviously the legend, everybody knows him. Clayton Geathers and Brian Body Calhoun, also unsigned free agents right now. So for now, we're not thinking they're going to come back. We're pretty far into August for them to be coming back. So I don't know what's up with that. Yeah. Just the one thing I got to say here is that next I'm going to be talking about the rookies. And Vinatieri, he's not on the team anymore. And the guy they're replacing him with is the guy I don't even know his name because he wasn't drafted. I just call him Goggles Goon. And he was the kicker from Georgia Georgia. That wore goggles in all the games he was kicking in. And I just think that's funny. I think it's funny to wear sports goggles when we have things like context nowadays, because that's always what I wear when I play sports. Then rookies. Here we go. We got Michael Pittman Jr., first guy. High point, tall receiver, gets open most of the time, but when he doesn't get open, he can go up and make a play. And he has a YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. Pretty good player. I'm fine with that pick. Next, they picked Jonathan Taylor, and the thing I want to say about Jonathan Taylor is they keep the running back thing about them all feeling like a similar build going here with this pick. He feels really similar to Marlon Mack, and wouldn't be bad to have 2, just a 1-2 punch of running backs, but I basically feel like they're the same player. I bet other people would be able to pick out things that are different about them and be a little more intricate on the details. But I mean, I look at both of them and what little I saw of both of them, and I'm like, these guys are kind of like the same guy, which would be good if they can just pound the rock all year, which is probably what they want to do. Be good for them. Julian Blackmon. This one's weird to me. I just didn't see what they were seeing. He's a tackling safety who actually accumulated a decent number of interceptions in college, but I don't think it'll work in the NFL. I just wasn't seeing anything that was making me go, oh yeah, this guy's NFL material. Could have overlooked something, but I was not seeing it. And I was kind of like, had my head tilted while I was watching him, like, they picked this guy? I don't know. Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason has a cannon for an arm, and he's decently mobile, too. I would be interested to see him play in the NFL. Can't say much more about him. Just, I wasn't watching, like, every read he made and stuff. Just watching some really simple stuff on him. I'd be interested how he could dissect a defense. Well, I'd like to see him play. He had a wideout, though. This was something that was kind of interesting. He had a wideout by the name of Aaron Fuller, who was an undrafted free agent who signed with Seattle, and he really has me intrigued. And this is a reason I'm really sad we don't have preseason this year, because this receiver, Aaron Fuller, and my favorite like undrafted free agent quarterback, Anthony Gordon, both would have been on the Seattle Seahawks, so it would have been fun to watch them both play some preseason action, see if they could earn a roster spot. Or maybe they still will earn roster spots anyways. Next, they got a guy by the name of Danny Pinter. He was a guard from Ball State, and really, I'm not going to analyze offensive line play deeply just because it's obviously very important, but I just don't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it justice, so I'm not. The only thing that I found that was interesting about him is that he also played tight end in college. Interesting that we have a guard that played tight end in college, too, because he played tight end, tackle in college, and now he's coming to the NFL as a guard. Interesting. Had a guy by the name of Rob Windsor, who is from Penn State, and he basically looks like he's Brian Urlacher playing defensive tackle. And it's kind of funny to watch his highlights, just thinking, wow, this is what Brian Urlacher playing defensive tackle would look like. And it's just like, all right. So we're into the fourth quarter of the gameplay now, so I think we're actually doing pretty well for timing, even though I feel like I've rambled on about a few things. Isaiah Rodgers. This guy, I wasn't expecting much from him, because the last three guys, really, not Jacob Eason, Julian Blackmon, Danny Pinter, and Rob Windsor didn't really make me freak out at all. Just the Windsor thing with him looking like Brian Urlacher made me kind of laugh. But this Isaiah Rodgers guy, he may be something really special. And I don't know what pick they picked him at, because I was just going through the Colts website, seeing the guys that they drafted, which it didn't even show where they were selected. But this Isaiah Rodgers guy, wow, this guy. Okay, let me start with this. He does everything. He gets interceptions. He hits hard. He plays a ton of special teams. And I mean, this was just something that I think almost no players at the college level can even say. He had a kick return touchdown in college, a punt return touchdown in college, an interception returned for a touchdown in college, and a blocked field goal. Those are four things that are just like, whoa, those are huge. Those are huge game-changing plays, really, for any situation. And then the other thing is, there's a clip of him against Army where he just absolutely blows up the guy who catches the punt on a punt return and just destroys him. It's an amazing look. This guy, I think he can make plays wherever he's playing. But I mean, just with the stuff I talked about there, not excluding the pick six, he's an excellent special teams player, and I think he's going to have to earn a roster spot purely from that. The other thing to mention is the study I heard recently that if you had a kick return touchdown in college, you're tremendously more likely to be successful in the NFL. And this guy was insane in the return game in college. So I think this guy could be a later round pick that really comes on the scene hot. And I actually really like the chances of him being a baller. Last two guys I got to talk about. Desmond Patton. He's a high point, toe tap possession receiver. He's kind of similar to Michael Pittman. I didn't check the numbers, but I'm guessing he just had less production. So it's kind of interesting. They grab Michael Pittman early, and then they grab a guy that's really similar to him late. Interesting pick. I guess I understand it, though. If he goes down with injury, we could plug this guy in as a replacement. Alrighty. And then the last guy that they picked was Jordan Glasgow. He played at Michigan, and I couldn't find any highlights for him for the past season or the past 2 years or anything. The only things I could find from him were like sophomore year of high school highlights, and he had a pick six in like their spring game in 2017, so I got to see that. So the high school highlights showed like his ability to run the ball and stuff, and It was a pick six in the spring game, but he broke a few tackles on it, so that shows his ability to carry the ball. Only thing that's really interesting about him is he could play safety or linebacker. Like I said, he's good with the ball in his hands, but he plays defense, so I don't know how well that'll translate. Yeah, that's basically all I got on him. Okay, now we get to talk about their opponents and do the prediction. Okay, we got 3 minutes of game time for this in this Colts-Texans game. Okay, division opponents. I really like the Titans and Texans rosters. I think in divisional games this year, I'm either saying two wins or 3 wins. But I actually kind of like the talent they like. They may not have enough talent, even though they've got like a few guys on defense making like key plays. I don't know if they have enough talent on defense to get enough stops. I mean, Houston and Tennessee have some tough offenses to go against. I guess I'll say I'm really hesitant to give them 3 wins in the division. I'm probably only saying 2 wins. And even then, it's like Phillip Rivers is the starting quarterback. I really don't know if I can trust him, and I really don't know if he's an upgrade from Jacoby Brissett. So we're starting at 2-4. 2-4, then we've got to talk about the teams that they play at home. They play Baltimore at home. I don't think I'm giving that to them. 2-5. They play the Bengals at home. I think Colts being the home team, they usually get a pretty good home crowd. Peyton Manning trained them well. Bengals are going to be a rising team, but I think we can give that to them. 3-5. They also play the Jets at home. I don't like the Jets roster at all. 4-5. Then they play the Packers and Vikings at home. These are kind of those middle of the road teams that I was feeling weird about. I'll split those two. So they were at 4-5, so they'll go to 5-6 with those games. Then we've got 5 away games that I'll have to talk about really quickly. This game's almost over. They've got Pittsburgh and Cleveland here. I think both of those teams are going to be much improved this season compared to last year. I think the coaching in Cleveland makes them a lot better. I think Big Ben being back in Pittsburgh makes a huge difference. I think both of those are losses, so that'll put them at 5-8. The other 3 games they have left on the away schedule to finish the season off is Detroit, Chicago, and Oakland. Sorry, not Oakland, Las Vegas. Excuse me. Road games in those places. I honestly think the best place they have a chance to win there is Chicago. I think they can get that win. That'll get them to 6-8. And Detroit and Las Vegas, I was thinking about giving them L's in each of them, but I gave them the 2-4 record in the division. So I think rather than giving them L's in each of them and giving them a 6-10 record, I think the better prediction for this team is 7-9. I think the talent for this team actually shows a 7-9 record is probably a better prediction for them anyways. I think they'll be able to run the ball with a lot of success this season. It's just probably more of a passing game that I'm not saying that they couldn't put up good numbers. They could put up good numbers with Phillip Rivers. It's just I really do not think that I don't think the defense is anything too crazy. They've got really good talent on there, obviously, like Darius Leonard and stuff. But the defense isn't anything too special, especially the secondary. And just the passing game, I think it'll have weak spots. I think they may turn the ball over a little too much. And I think 7-9 is the prediction that I'm going to go with the Colts. And it seems about right with the talent on the team for now. A few pieces away. They could be a playoff team soon enough. But that's what I'll leave it at. So, if you enjoyed the video, Thanks for watching.
2020 president candidate.